Hello, fam. Hopefully everyone's doing well tonight. Thank you for joining me, Jeremy from Beware the Stampede, here on our inaugural broadcast on the Come On In Sports Network. Let's come on in, talk about a little Bills tonight. First off, I want to thank the family, Dolph, Nan, Zach, and the rest of the crew. Appreciate you guys for having me on here. And thank you all for tuning in tonight. Hopefully everyone's doing well. Hopefully everyone enjoyed their Victory Monday if you're a Bills fan. If you're not a Bills fan, hopefully you got to enjoy Victory Monday. Not everybody fared well. Some teams fared better than others. Some surprises out there. If you guys watched a few of the games this weekend, I'm sure some of you were surprised as I was with some of the outcomes. And let's get to it. So, first things first. First of all, Bills Mafia, come on in. That is right. Appreciate you guys. So, first thing I want to talk about, Keon Coleman. What do we think about Keon Coleman? Do we think he is the number one receiver? A lot of people are already high on him. I mean, after drafting him as our second round pick, what probably is going to be our first round pick, so we traded that to the Chiefs, which it's a whole nother topic I'm not going to get into. It was a surprise. I didn't expect to see him leading the team in receiving. However, Josh Allen actually ended up throwing to 9 different receivers, which I didn't see coming. Didn't think that was going to be the case. I really expected him to rely on his typical duo of, James Cook and Dalton Kincaid, or looking at Knox, and he really spread the ball around, which was a good thing because obviously we need to get some points on the board because we started out very slowly. Keon Coleman, I think, is going to be good. He's not a starting wide receiver. He's actually basically the number 4 receiver if you look at the depth chart. I think he's going to be good. I don't think he's going to be our necessary number 1 receiver this year. I do probably, if you want to call Dalton Kincaid a receiver, probably expect it to be him looking at the long term because there's a lot of season left to play. I was surprised to see Kincaid only get 1 reception for 11 yards. But I'm not disappointed. I'm not disappointed because no matter what, a win's a win. No matter how you get it, no matter how it comes, we got it. So, with that being said, I think the biggest concern that I had, at least coming into this game, or at least starting out this game, was the Bills starting slow. That was not the way I was expecting that game to go. If you looked at the first quarter, the time of possession, the Cardinals had just about 13 minutes of time of possession to about 2 minutes for the Bills. We were flat. We came out real flat. And I feel like that is something that we have a habit of doing. I know it's the first game, so I'm not going to panic here. I'm not going to get too worried. It's the first game. It is going to be rough to start. We haven't really had that whole team on the field because of the preseason being only 3 games. They didn't really give Allen and the starters a whole lot of time in the games, which I get. You look at preseason and see how it goes, and obviously everyone always worries, is somebody going to get hurt, something to happen, and we've seen it happen in preseason. So I understand that, but we got to come out faster than that, especially the Cardinals. Not saying they're a bad team, not saying they're a good team. Obviously, Kyler Murray's dangerous. Oklahoma guy, Heisman Trophy winner, healthy this year for the first time in what feels like forever for him. Great wide receiver. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, I'm a Syracuse guy, so I watched his dad growing up, saw him play at the Dome. Obviously, there's a lot of talent in that bloodline, and his son shows it. So, and James Conner looked good. Never been a huge fan of him. He's always been kind of a workhorse guy, but they look good. We obviously pulled it back together after the first half and really got going. Josh Allen put the team on his back. No one's surprised by that. And Josh Allen is he's everything. He is everything. Is he MVP? I hope so. I mean, they were already chanting for it. I mean, the game he had was pretty solid. You can't deny that. It was his 4th career game with multiple passing and rushing touchdowns. To me, that was surprising. I don't know about the rest of you. I was honestly shocked by that. I expected there to be more than that, for it to be his first one, or his 4th one out of all the years he's played at this point. But if you look at what he brings to the team, if you look at what he does, it is incredibly impressive. I think if you look at the quarterbacks in the league, you look at what they do for their teams, yeah, you can say Patrick Mahomes is obviously a Super Bowl winner. I get it. We all know it. We've seen it. I think he's important to the team, but I think if you look at the complete package, Mahomes can pass. Mahomes has Kelsey. Not saying we don't have, Kincaid, but there is a different level there. Josh Allen runs this team. Everything runs through Josh Allen. The only other quarterback I would say that in some level of my mind, you can compare that to, and I think you guys will probably all agree this, same draft class, also a pick that was down further than probably some of us expected, Lamar Jackson, right? I don't love Lamar Jackson, but he's very similar to Josh Allen in the way that they play. I have a lot of respect for the way he plays. He's a hard player. Like he leaves it all out on the field. You watch it and you see him play. He's very similar to Allen. I think Allen's better, obviously, and he is better as far as I'm concerned. But the interesting thing to me is if you look at them in side by side, people look at Lamar Jackson at a different level than they do Josh Allen, which is surprising to me because if you look at them statistically, there's not a whole lot of difference there. Obviously, Lamar Jackson has 2 MVPs. Josh Allen, we're still waiting on that. Hopefully this year, planning on this year. And it's tough. I mean, it's tough because when you've got quality quarterbacks and you're in a division that is incredibly competitive because you've got the Chiefs, you've got the Ravens, you got the Bills. There's other teams that always seem to come to fruition and step up. It's hard to make that case for it. And I think that's where he struggles at times to get that extra recognition. And their problem is he's a small market team. We're not going to get typically the viewership or the games, which we have the past couple of years, thankfully, because we've been winning the division. But prior to that, the Bills haven't gotten a lot of airtime. They're not really noticed like other teams are. Look, there's no Taylor Swift showing up to Josh Allen's games, right? Like, it's just not happening. So, I don't know. Josh Allen, love the guy. He's been playing great. He's just got to keep it up this year. He's got to stay healthy. And that's the one thing I always worry about with any quarterback, right? Stay healthy. Make sure we're protecting him. Every time he runs, it makes me nervous. I hate that. We've got James Cook. Use him. And Cook had a good game. Yeah, he looked good. A couple receptions, decent amount of yards. So, and Ray Davis, for those of you who watched him in preseason, he really, I think, could be an impact player. I like him a lot. He's a hard runner. He was a hard runner in college at Kentucky. He continues to play hard and run hard. I think he's going to be one of those guys the next year or two who's really going to step up into his own. I think he has the potential at some point to really balance James Cook more. Cook's quick, but he's not as big of a bruiser. Ray Davis is one of those guys, he's just going to try and run through you, like a smaller version of a Derrick Henry, right? He's just going to go and just try and run through you. But he's also incredibly quick. Probably didn't see a lot of him. He wasn't really well known in college because he played at Kentucky, not really getting a lot of airtime or a lot of, viewership as far as that goes. So the other thing is that was really impressive to me, Rousseau. He's going to have a career year. 3 sacks, first game. I mean, you can't be mad about that. The most sacks he's ever had in a season is 8. He's at 3 in one game. I think the biggest thing with Rousseau is it's one of those guys who've been waiting to step into his own for a couple of years now. He's hit that point in his career after 4 seasons where you're really waiting for him to take that next step. Like the talent is there. We've all known the talent's there. Everyone's seen flashes of it, but it's really putting that package together. And if you watch the post-game interviews with Von Miller, basically talking about that, like, how impressed he is with Rousseau and his ability. And that's coming from a future Hall of Famer. I mean, Von Miller is going to end up in the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt in my mind, 100%. That was the other thing I was happy to see. A healthy Von Miller does make a difference. And maybe that's what it finally takes for Rousseau. Maybe that's what it was. Really having a healthy Von Miller, he's going to attract attention. He's going to draw double coverage from time to time because he's going to have to. I mean, the guy's still a threat. He's older. He's not as quick as he used to be, but he's still dangerous. And Von Miller, you just see him on the field, that changes the game, right? So it opens up opportunities for Rousseau. Do I think he's going to have 3 sacks every game? Absolutely not. But do I think he's going to do better than 8 this year? He needs 5 more? Yeah, I think so. Very, very pleased to see him stepping into his own because it's one of those things you always wait for, right? You draft these guys, you see them grow, and you hope that they're going to step into what you proposed that they were going to be when you looked at drafting them. You're sitting in the war room, you're talking to everybody else, and everyone's coming through and saying, yep, go get this guy, go get this guy. And when you look at Rousseau, he was one of those guys coming out of college. He's fast, he's strong, he's going to push people around, he's going to get to the quarterback, and he did it this weekend. And the impact that can make in a game is huge. Look at your top quality rushers. Look at your Myles Garrett. Look at your Micah Parsons, right? Those guys, you got to keep an eye on. You're going to double those guys. You need to. So fine, double Rousseau. Leave Von Miller open. Healthy Von Miller, even at his age at this point with his injuries, I'll still take him over most guys. I mean, there's a reason he's one of the best. There's a reason we are paying him a lot of money. And I'm glad to see him healthy and out on the field because we are paying him a lot of money. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. One of the other things that was interesting, talking about Myles Garrett, and segue from into the quarterback realm, which is Dak Prescott's contract. I think it's insane. While I'm obviously not a Cowboys fan, as a Bills fan, for a whole lot of reasons, and you can probably guess the same, I am shocked that they're paying him that kind of money. Shocked that they're paying him that kind of money for what his production's been, his health. I mean, this is a guy that team has really never advanced at this point, and they're making him the highest paid player in the NFL. I'm wondering if part of that goes back to the Trey Lance experiment that they were trying in the preseason. There was a lot of rumors swirling around about Trey Lance, if he was going to be the next big thing. I will say this about the Bills. I am mad we didn't go after Trey Lance. Look, I'm not a huge Mitch Trubisky fan. Didn't love him at North Carolina. I know he came back he was our backup. We brought him back again. Trey Lance for a 7th round pick, to me, for a guy that has that kind of athletic talent, and I'm going to compare him to another quarterback that I think has an opportunity to show his worth in the next couple weeks, which is Malik Willis. Similar type of play styles, right? Fast, not a lot of college under their belt, not a lot of reps under their belt. Malik Willis ended up in the better situation because Tennessee ended up trading him to Green Bay. Jordan Love goes and gets hurt. Malik Willis now becomes the starter at Green Bay for probably the next 3 weeks or so. And to think, same thing, they gave up almost nothing for him. Trey Lance, same type of thing. For what could be a decent athletic quarterback. I just don't see that as Mitch. He's not that fast. I don't think he's that great of a quarterback to begin with, but it is what it is. It's one of those things you look at and you're like, man, for a low draft or a high draft pick, however you want to phrase it, high, low, either way, like highs and higher rounds, I would have taken one of those guys happily as a backup quarterback, throw him out there. If nothing else, those guys are going to run all over the field. And if you look at their preseason stats, granted, preseason only counts for so much, those guys were running like crazy. So, yeah, so it's going to be an interesting season. So, 1-0, not bad. More surprising, New England's 1-0. Didn't see that coming. If you told me at the end of week 1 we were going to see the team that has a loss, and only one team in the AFC has a loss, be it the Jets, I would have probably thought you were crazy. Not that I thought they were going to beat San Francisco. I expected that game to be a little tighter. For those of you that probably tuned into that game, I expected that to be better than it was. I was a little disappointed overall. I'm happy the Jets lost. Not that I love San Fran, but it's the Jets, so I want them to lose. But I did not see New England coming out and beating Cincinnati. I mean, granted, Cincinnati was down some receivers. You still got Joe Burrow, and you got Zach Moss. For those of you that know me, I love Zach Moss. I was sad to see him leave Buffalo. I'm happy he's getting a shot as a true number 1 somewhere. I think he deserves it. So I'm happy for him. Hopefully he has a great season because I think he's incredibly talented. He was phenomenal at Utah, another Utah guy like Kincaid. And we'll get an opportunity to really play there and shine. With Chase Brown backing him up, he'll get his reps too, but Zach Moss will be a true number 1 there. So I was surprised. Just did not see New England winning that game at all. Thought they were going to be absolutely abysmal this year, and they just somehow pulled it off, and the Bengals somehow played that badly. But that's why I play the game, right? You don't know what's going to happen until the final whistle. So 3 teams, 1-0, one of which is the Patriots. So we got the Dolphins on Thursday. Dolphins on Thursday night. And whoever wins that game, early in the season, will be the AFC East leader. So what does that mean for us? It's probably a good thing. If history continues to repeat itself, we've won the last 4 matchups against the Dolphins. Josh Allen's been on an absolute tear. For those of you that have seen him play the Dolphins, which probably is all of you, every time he's played the Dolphins, the past 4 games, he's thrown over 300 yards. It's 14 touchdowns, 1 rushing, which that's probably the most surprising thing to me, by the way. Only 1 rushing touchdown in those 4 games. He absolutely thrashes that team. Absolutely thrashes them. I always laugh because all I can keep thinking of is, their coach, and wish it was colder. It's not going to be colder necessarily, obviously, because we're going to be down there, but I think it's going to be a good game. The thing that scares me about Miami always is they got a lot of speed. You've obviously they got the cheetah, Tyreek Hill, the guy's a threat every time he goes out there. I mean, as long as you get the ball to him, and happen again this weekend, 80-yard touchdown. The guy can run. He gets the ball in the open field. That's it. He's gone. I mean, no one's catching that guy. So as long as we can keep him under control, we're going to be in good shape. A-Chain, good running back. It seems like he's probably taking over the lead for Mostert, at least after week 1. Tough to say. Obviously, very small sample size. But if you look at the usage, I was a little more surprised than that. I thought it would be maybe more even split, but it looks like maybe Mostert's already getting put on the back burner for A-Chain, which, that's their young cowbell. He does have a lot more speed, but after Mostert had a career year last year, and I don't think he would get 18 touchdowns this year again. There's no way. I don't care. I think that was just kind of a crazy statistic last year, but I would have expected to see him used more. I'm going to be sad I drafted him in fantasy football, so I'm disappointed because now I may have a running back on my bench that I'm not going to be able to use. So, always look at the fantasy stuff. I don't want the Dolphins to win, but if he's playing against somebody else, I at least hope he's getting me some points. So it'll be a good game. I think the Bills are going to win this. I'm never going to say 100% because nothing's ever 100%. Hence the Bengals and Patriots, because nobody probably saw that one coming. But I feel good about this game. It's going to be interesting because we get to play Poyer. So it'll be his first game against the Bills. So I'll be curious to see how that goes, see what kind of feelings are there. Obviously, it's in Miami, so it's going to be a little bit different than if we were to come back to Buffalo and come home. But I do love the idea that he's coming back. So do I think the Dolphins are going to stop the Bills? No, I don't. Nope, I don't. I don't think they're a substantially different team than last year. If you look at the roster, are they better? They've made some moves. They might be marginally better. I don't think they're that much better that they're a difference maker. And I don't think we've gotten that much worse. A lot of people, the knock on the Bills right now is, we lost Diggs. Yep, we did. We lost Gabe Davis. Love Gabe Davis. He's gone too. We lost a lot of our wide receivers. We did, but Shakir stepped in, kind of replaced Diggs, and we got rid of the drama, which I just gets old. The drama thing got old after a while, so I was glad to see that gone. Gabe Davis, boom or bust. Love the guy. He's either going to put up 2 touchdowns and 120 yards, or he's going to have 1 reception for like 6 yards or nothing at all, and he's completely invisible. So if I'll take a Shakir and maybe a Keon Coleman, or if you want to throw Kincaid in the mix there, as a wide receiver / tight end, I'll take either. I'll take that combo because Diggs with the drama, nope. And if you look at the second half of the season, while Diggs did produce, most of his production really came in the first half of the season. And then once the second half of the season came in and Joe Brady really took in to his own as far as the offensive coordinator, you really started to see that usage drop some. And I think that's part of what led to the whole drama, which granted happens every year. I just feel like last year it finally boiled over and kind of turned into what it is. I will say this, I'm happy for him. Like, he's obviously thriving at the moment in Houston. I don't harbor bad feelings. Like, he did a lot for us as far as Bills fans. He was exciting to watch. I mean, when he was on, it was just crazy to watch that guy. He's a future Hall of Famer at this rate. I mean, statistically, he's going to get in if he keeps this production up for a few more years. I don't see a situation in which that doesn't happen. And 2 touchdowns in Houston this past weekend. I didn't think that would probably happen. I mean, that is a deep team. You've got Tank Dell, a healthy Tank Dell. You've got Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins, and then CJ Stroud. So it's going to be interesting. There's a lot of really good talent right now in the AFC, and a lot of surprising teams. The Jets, I think, are going to be competitive. I think as long as they keep Aaron Rodgers healthy, which we don't know how that went last year. I think they could be competitive. The Dolphins, I think they'll be average. That team is one of those teams that can't get over the hump. They've got pieces, but they don't have it all. And Tua, to me, is still not that elite quarterback that I think that team needs to really push themselves. Where they really are lucky is they just have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. They've got 2 solid receivers, and they can both beat you up. But they don't have a Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a game changer. We all know it. We all see it. If people don't see it, I don't know how. It's disappointing when he doesn't get the MVP and he doesn't really get the nod that he deserves. And yeah, I get it. Turnovers. Everyone says turnovers. But if you look at the impact the guy makes, That's what matters at the end of the day. So, how we all feeling? What we got going on out here? My expectations for Dalton Kincaid Thursday night. Definitely needs to be more involved. I have been incredibly disappointed as far as his usage in the last game. He didn't really get targeted. I'm not worried. I mean, everyone coming into the season knows he was going to be one of the main guys, right? Everyone looked at him and said, he's going to be the next quote unquote Travis Kelce, right? You want whatever, poor man Travis Kelce, if you want to call him that. I do really believe Kincaid has that ability to take that step at some point. He's still young, he's still raw, he's still learning. But with the exit of Diggs, with the exit of Davis, everyone expected more targets to just magically show up to Kincaid because that ball's got to go somewhere, right? He's got to get those extra receptions to somebody. And he did. He did this week. He got him to 9 receivers. 9 people had receptions. That's pretty solid. Now, do I think that's going to happen every week? Absolutely not. I don't. I think that is definitely an outlier this week. It worked. We won the game. I don't think that's going to be a consistent thing. So I do think Dalton Kincaid's going to have a bigger role. I do think he's going to step more into the forefront. As far as what my expectations are for him, I would say 6 to 7 receptions, probably 80 yards and a touchdown. If you had to ask me what I think he's going to end up with, I'm hoping I'm right, actually. So those of you, if you've got him on your teams for fantasy, hopefully I'm right. And that is the case. So I'm going to call right now. We'll say 6 receptions, 80 yards, touchdown. That's what I'm going for Dalton on Thursday night. Do I think the Dolphins' offensive line is weaker or better than last season? That's a tough one because it's hard to say because it's still so fresh in the season. But honestly, at this point, I'm going to say it's probably a smidge better. I don't think it's substantially better. I think it's going to wear as the season goes on. I mean, they're still able to effectively run the ball, but I'm thinking I really believe part of that is because they have a better running back. I think A-Chain is a better running back than Mostert. I think last year they were able to use him a lot more. A-Chain seemed to do okay to come in and back up, but I think now it's a little bit better because you're seeing A-Chain take over as kind of the lead back, and I think that's probably going to continue. But the biggest problem is going to be Tua for them. I mean, that's going to be their biggest issue always is his health. He gets one more concussion. I don't know if he still keeps playing. I'll be honest, I'm not even sure. I'd have to look it up. Who their backup is. I think it's Skyler still because they got rid of – I think they brought in Mike White at one point who was with the Jets and then was gone from the Jets, who I think we actually signed for a hot minute and then let go as well. So Thursday night will be a good game. I'm excited because I think if you look at the matchups for this week, I think that's a good game to have in prime time. You've got 2 competitive teams in the AFC. You've got 2 teams that are both playoff contenders the past couple of years. Obviously, there's a little bit of storied history with the Dolphins and the Bills, I feel like, over the years, and especially the past few because there's been a lot of playoff implications. Obviously, like when we had to beat the Dolphins to sneak into the playoffs and secure the seed from them, that really screwed them up. So it'll be a good game. I'm excited for it. Josh Allen, I think, is going to keep going off. And which player needs to step up the most? Ooh. As far as if we're talking the season, who do I want to see step up the most? Honestly, I want to see James Cook really step up, and not because he hasn't. Dalton Kincaid, is going to be good. James Cook, I feel like, can start slow but then blow up. I want to see him be a more consistent running back. I want to see him be a little bit stronger. He showed off flashes in the passing game, which I think has been one of the things he's kind of struggled with a little bit. And I want to see him get in the end zone more. That for me is the thing. He did not get in the end zone last year running. I want to see him get in this year. Now, I think he's got a more of an opportunity this year than last year. We had some bigger running backs last year. We did have, at one point, Hines. We had Latavius Murray. Love Latavius Murray's local Syracuse area guy. Went to Onondaga. Big boy, right? He's gonna plow through those short yards. They were gonna put him in. So I want to see James Cook really step up this year. He's definitely has the potential to be an elite running back. I think he is. If you look at the And I'll have, again, one of these things I need to start preparing more for these shows I get there. I'll have the stuff in front of me. But if you look at the odds for this year, for what the rushing title was going to be, I think James Cook was like the 12th or 13th running back listed. And last year, I believe he finished third. I think Kyron Williams sneaked in at the end ahead of him for rushing yards. So I was very surprised to see him drop so far down the list on the odds for that, because I don't think there's a situation which he doesn't have the opportunity to get the volume and get the yards. It's just being able to break some of those tackles and be a little bit more productive at times. But I think that's one thing I love about Allen. Allen changes the whole dimension of your offense, because when you've got a guy like that that can not only throw but can rush, and you have to pay attention to that, because if he breaks out of that pocket, he's taken off. He's not one of those guys that's not going to go for the extra yards. He's going to hurdle you. He's going to drop a shoulder. He's going to do whatever he's got to do to get those couple extra yards if he has to. And he's one of those guys that makes everybody else around him better. That's what I love. Everyone's like, a quarterback's great because this quarterback can throw. Great. Josh Allen literally makes every player on that team better just by being there and being Josh Allen, because of what he brings to the table. He brings the grit. He brings the talent. He just brings that X factor, the game of a player you've got to keep eyes on. You can't let Josh Allen break out, because if he does, he's taken off, and the man can run. I mean, we've all seen his yards. We've seen the touchdowns. He is not only a quarterback, but he is a true dual threat running back and quarterback. Keys to victory. Easy. Keep Tyreek Hill from putting up crazy yards. Got to get to Tua. Got to keep coverage on Tyreek. I mean, that's just that to me is that's an easy one, because that guy, he gets that ball in the open flat, he's gone. There's no one that's catching that man. And that's one of the things that makes Miami so dangerous, is his just pure speed. Is that man is one of the fastest players. There's a reason he's got the nickname the Cheetah. And the other key to victory, like anything, a couple things we need to clean up, right? Special teams. Can't have guys returning kicks for touchdowns. Got to clean that up. Not something you want to be known for being the first team in, the NFL to have that return for a touchdown with the new rules that we have. I'm still not sure how I feel about the new kickoffs. It's I like it and I don't. I'm not sure. It's just weird. I just haven't adjusted to it yet. It does make it more interesting having the landing zone, but one of those things I think as we all watch it, I think it's still one of those I'm still trying to digest fully how I feel about it. But it does make it more interesting for sure. And the main thing is it is safer, right? Like, it does make sense that it's a safer way to do it. Obviously, like, we want to make sure people aren't going out there getting killed and getting hurt all the time, because obviously player safety is super important. We don't want our guys to get hurt. I don't want our guys getting hurt on other teams. The other thing is, as far as keys to the game, making sure we keep Devon A-Chain in check, right? That guy's fast. He's quick. If he gets out into the flat, we're going to have a tough time bringing him down. He was great in college. He showed last year what he could do. And if we can't stop him, then we got Mostert, which, again, he's older, but he still had a career year last year. So what contributed to the slow start last week? Honestly, I think it was a little bit of rust. That's my take on it. I think it was a little rust. I think it was trying to figure things out. I mean, these guys didn't play a lot. And now, granted, same with Arizona, so you've got to look at it the same. But I think it's one of those, you've got a very new team in a lot of ways for Josh Allen. Your receiving room is very different than it was the year before. You've got Curtis Samuel, Matt Collins, obviously Keon Coleman. So you got a lot of different looks that you didn't have last year. So I think for Allen, it was really having that time and being in the game to figure out where the pieces are going to fit. I think he did a good job of it. I love the fact he spread the ball around. Like, would I have loved to see him throw it to Dalton Kincaid 8 times, 9 times? Yeah, I would have, because he's on my fantasy team, because, of course, I'm going to draft him, right? Got to draft him. But I think the fact that you can threaten the defense by showing you can spread the ball around is almost more impactful. Because, yeah, great. If you can throw to Dalton Kincaid 8 times a game, he's going to catch all 8, it gives the defense a lot more to focus on when you're scouting the team and going into that next week. Now, if you're the Dolphins, Thursday night, short week, Now you've got to look and be like, okay, well, he's throwing the ball to everybody. You can't stop everybody. And the fact that he's building that trust and that rapport with some of these guys, especially even Coleman, right? Again, not technically a starter. He's technically listed as number 3. You got to look at that and think, man, that's pretty impressive, because you've got Samuel, Shakir, which I was surprised Shakir really didn't get targeted more either. I mean, there's another guy, like, wait till he gets going, right? And then you've got Hollins. And then you bring in Keon Coleman, who leads the team with 4 receptions and 50-plus yards. So he's not focusing on just one guy. He's focusing on what is going to make the most sense in the throws, and he's being smart about it. He's not forcing it. You didn't see him have the turnovers that he might technically have because he's forcing it as much, right? He's taking his time. He didn't put up crazy numbers. I think it's 228 for yards, an interception, or 2 touchdowns, and then obviously his 2 rushing touchdowns. But the fact that he's not forcing it and he's finding other looks is what, to me, is really impressive. But it also takes time to figure that out when you've got a whole new wide receiver room pretty much that you didn't have last year. Yeah, it was a great game for the Bills. Slow start, but stayed solid and secured the win. Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what matters, right? What matters is getting the win. Doesn't matter how you do it. For instance, Chicago Bears, right? No offensive touchdowns. They won the game. I'm not saying that that's good, okay? Don't quote me on this saying that's a good thing. But what I am saying is, like, they still got the win. That's not how you're going to win a game every single week. And if they do, that's going to be some crazy statistic no one will ever break. However, the fact of the matter is they won the game. Whether it's defense, offense, they're both on the field. You got to find a way to win, because at the end of the day, no matter what you do, you've got to go out there and you've got to get that win. And Caleb Williams didn't have a great day. No one's going to sit there and say he did. But the defense carried that team. And there's going to be times you're going to need your defense to carry your team, or your offense is going to have to carry the team. It's not a good look for Caleb Williams game 1, but at the same point, his team bailed him out and they got the win. Great. You know, there's going to be times you're going to need that from your defense to step up. I mean, I did, again, another game, didn't see that coming. You watching the highlights of the game and it's like, how did this happen? This is a really weird week 1. Just did not. Falcons losing, for instance, Kirk Cousins, like, expected more out of that game. It's going to be an interesting year. There's just a lot of players that have moved around, a lot of changes. I feel like there's not a lot of consistency on some of these teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything pans out. You look even in our own division, right? Like, for the most part, Dolphins are relatively the same. We're completely different in a lot of ways. We have a whole new wide receiver crew. For the Jets, they got Aaron Rodgers at the moment. I mean, I don't know how long that's going to be, but they didn't have him at all last year, as we obviously know, because that didn't last long when they played us. And then the Patriots, I mean, they've got a whole new quarterback, and other than that, I don't know who they have besides Stevenson, honestly. But he's dangerous. So it's going to be a good year. I feel good. I was a little worried, I'm not going to lie, at the beginning of the year when I looked at who we had and what was going on and thinking, how's this all going to work? How's this all going to piece together? But as you start seeing the puzzle pieces get laid out and put together, and you start seeing how they fit, and you start seeing where all the other pieces can go, I feel good. I feel good after this week. And I feel actually a lot better about it, even with the slow start and everything that happened, because, one, Rousseau looked good. That to me is huge, because unfortunately we lost Matt Milano for, let's basically call it the season, right? Maybe he comes back in December. I'm not going to rely on that being a possibility. I'm just going to assume he's not, right? I hope he does, because that'd be a great lift at that time of the year. But if he doesn't, somebody else has to step up. Who's the next guy in line? Obviously, it looks like Rousseau. I love Groot. So hopefully that continues. Von Miller's healthy. He looked good, right? Like, if we can get production out of him, honestly, if we can get anything out of him, even if it's a double team, I'll take it, because at least he's doing something there. You look at, obviously, Kincaid and Knox. We know what they can do. You look at the new wide receivers we brought in. I mean, they did what they had to do, right? When they were called upon, they made the catches. They stepped up. James Cook looked good. He contributed. He had a couple of receptions. That usually is not his strong suit, is the passing game, so he looked good. Allen did what he had to do, right? 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns. I mean, what's crazy is when you talk about Josh Allen, and it's almost just so nonchalantly, like, 4 total touchdowns. No big deal. Because it's not a thing. Dorian Williams. Love Dorian Williams, underrated player. Not somebody you've seen a lot of until this year, I feel like, and I feel like he could be one of those guys that is a big X factor, actually. Huge potential and upside with him. It'll be interesting to see how the season plays out for him. I thought he was going to be a lot better last year, didn't do much, but this year could really be his year. I mean, there's a real opportunity for a lot of these guys to step up with some of the changes that were made. I mean, our secondary is basically completely replaced. I mean, DeMar Hamlin's basically starting now. Elam, I really thought would be a starter. I still really believe in that guy. I liked him out of Florida. I liked him out of college. I still really think he's got a ton of talent. I just don't know when he's going to finally put it all together. I thought the preseason was looking good and he'd get a shot, but not yet. I think he will. Still super high on him too. What else we got here? Postseason, no one's going to care. I got there. It's just getting there. Yep. That's it. You got to get in to win, right? You don't get to play the game if you're not in it. So, we just got to keep winning, and we've just got to get over that hump this year. I thought this last year, and I'll say this, and some of you are probably going to disagree with me, and you can feel free to blast me in the comments. I think this might be it for McDermott. I think if they don't make it to at least the championship game, he might be out. And it's not because he's not a good coach. It's not because they're not successful. I think it's because it's just at the point where it's like, what else can we do to get that final push? And I thought it might have been last year. I was surprised. I thought he was going to be gone. I thought they might have got rid of him and just clean house like midseason. They didn't. So we'll see what he can do this year if this is going to be it. But I feel like that door is closing for him quickly. I mean, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it because I have to say it because it's reality. Josh Allen's not as young as he used to be, right? Like, he's been in the league a few years now. He's taken a lot of hits, right? Like, we only have X amount of years of Josh Allen time. At some point, we got to get there. We got to give this guy a shot to take it all home. It's not that he hasn't. We just freaking Patrick Mahomes. I hate that guy. I hate the Chiefs. Just got to get over that hump. So, whether it's him, it's Joe Burrow. I mean, granted, the Bengals look real bad when they don't have Higgins and Chase. So that's truly showing the weakness for them. You can say what you want about a quarterback, and you can say Joe Burrow's fantastic or so-and-so is fantastic, right? Like, whatever names you want to throw out there. But when you really find out a quarterback is good, and this is where, and you can tell I'm super high on Josh Allen, obviously. This is where you can tell the difference. You give a guy like Josh Allen basically a brand new wide receiver room and say, figure it out. Go do it, figure it out, make it work, right? Joe Burrow could not do that this weekend. It cost him. It cost him a game that could come back and haunt him, and it cost him a game that they should have been able to walk away with. The Patriots are not going to be good this year. They're just not. I'm sorry. There's no way you're going to sell me on that. I don't care. I'm not going to drink that drink. It's not happening. And they could have beat them. And they took a loss that they should have had a win because Joe Burrow couldn't find a way to make it work with what he had on the field. And you're not always going to have Jamar Chase, and you're not always going to have T. Higgins. But you should have enough other players in there to make it happen. And if you're that good, then you find a way to make it happen. I don't like the idea of playing quarterback on a Super Bowl window. Personally, there's definitely missed opportunities if the window isn't open or shut. That's fair. I mean, I can't necessarily disagree with that entirely, but I feel like there's those teams and those quarterbacks that they are special, and there is a window of time. I mean, it's like anything, they could be here today, gone tomorrow as far as things go. I mean, like, for instance, Tua gets one more concussion, he's probably done, right? Like, hope that doesn't happen to him. Certainly don't want that to happen to him, but I feel like you get those opportunities, and getting there is not easy. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, you got to beat a lot of good teams, and to get there is not an easy thing to do. So when you have those opportunities, you really got to make the most of it. I'm not saying it's shut. I think Josh Allen's definitely got a lot of, definitely a lot more runs in him, a lot more touchdowns in him, a lot more yards in him. Hopefully not a lot of interceptions or fumbles in him, because turnovers are occasionally a problem with him. But the one thing I will say a lot of times, if he is making a turnover, it's usually because he's airing it out in the end zone 60 yards down the field, And if it's getting picked off, at least it's getting picked off down there and not on the 15-yard line, going the other way. So it's not shut, but I do feel like with anything, again, Josh Allen's our guy. You have X amount of time with the quarterback typically, and he's not getting younger. So I would like to see him get a couple more shots. I'd like to see him get over that hump. Maybe this is the year. I think that every year as Bills fans, we think that every single year, this is the year. We keep saying this is the year. So that last year, I was sadly disappointed. But maybe this is the year. I'm always optimistic. I'm going to be optimistic, right? That's what we do as Bills fans. We stay optimistic. We go to games in 30-degree weather and blizzards and, not going to say break tables. I don't break tables, but, we just love our team. We love our team hard, and we're incredibly supportive, whether we win or lose. I mean, that's one thing about being Bills fans, right? Like, no matter what happens, we always support our team. We always love our team. Like, we don't turn our back on them. We suck it up and we fight through it with them. And that is one of the things I love most about this team. It's one of the things I love most about Josh Allen. Like, guys that play for Buffalo really embrace what it is. I think that's one of the things I love most about the team and the players that come here is that they really embrace the community. They really embrace what Buffalo, Western New York is. Chicken wings, beef on weck, love beef on weck. Hard working, right? Like hard working, pull up your bootstraps, go to work, do what you got to do, get it done. And to play for Buffalo, to play in Buffalo, you really have to love it, right? It's not LA. It's not Vegas. It's not some of these, it's not Miami. It's not one of these crazy huge cities. Like, you're in a small market, and there's something to be said for being in a small market, I think, because I think these guys really feel like they're part of something more. I think in the big city teams, sometimes that maybe gets lost to some degree or gets, you not that's not celebrity status, but there's something different about it. And in Buffalo, it's just like, people seeing it's like, hey, there's Josh Allen, there's Greg Rousseau, there's Ed Oliver, right? And just, go take a picture with you, have whatever, say hi. And I think they really love being here. And I think that's one of the things, like you hear Josh Allen talk about Buffalo and the Bills and like the passion that he has. Like he really believes, he really wants more than anything to bring that title home to Buffalo. And I hope he retires here. I hope whenever that time comes, we can continue to keep him Buffalo Bill and keep him here for as long as he wants to be here and can keep playing. And I hope he gets to do that for Buffalo. One, because we should have a title. We should have probably numerous titles, but that didn't happen. And there's going to be a time it's going to happen. And I hope he's that person that gets the opportunity to bring it home to Buffalo. Because for what he's done for the community, for how much he really believes in Buffalo and loves Buffalo and the people and the fans, I want nothing more than that for him and for us as fans. Because I think nothing would make us happier, one, than to win a Super Bowl, but to see Josh Allen be that guy to finally do it. Whether that's going on to beat Patrick Mahomes, to go to the Super Bowl and beating whoever he's got to play, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, probably not Dak Prescott. I don't think the Cowboys are that good. They're just paying out a whole lot of money. That's what I hope for. That's what I hope for this season. That's what I hope for every season. It's what all of Bills fans hope for every season. So, 1-0, I'll take it. Wasn't the prettiest win, but it's a win nonetheless. And Thursday night, Miami. So we'll see who's going to dominate the AFC East into week 2. I'm looking for the Bills to come out a lot faster, a lot quicker. I think this game could turn into a shootout. For those of you, I think that bet, I believe the over-under, I think is 54 on that game. I may be wrong about that, but I believe it's 54. I think it's going over. I think this game could turn into a shootout very quickly. And even in that situation, I love the Bills. Turn it into a shootout, fine. Because the one thing Tua can't do, can't run. He can't run. And Josh Allen can. And I think that's going to be one of those difference makers. Because if we can get to Tua, if Rousseau and Miller can get to Tua, he's going to be toast. He's not going to be able to scramble and get away like he needs to. And he's going to have to get that ball out quick, but we're going to have to be able to lock down Hill and Waddle. And that's not an easy task. Because the problem is you don't have one good guy on one side. You've got two good guys on each side. They bring different things. Hill's got the speed. Waddle's got great hands too, though. So we're going to have to find a way to contain them. But if we can do that, we're going to walk away with this. So I'm going to go with the Bills. 32, Dolphins 21. That's what I'm going for week 2. So, to all you out there, thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate all of you. Looking forward to doing this again next Tuesday. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming on in to join me, Jeremy, from Beware the Stampede here on the Come On In Network. Thank you to the fan for having me on here and allowing me to be part of this. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget to watch the game Thursday night. And if you guys need to get a hold of me, you want to say anything, by all means, please send me comments and get at me at BWR the Stampede on my Twitter handle. You can find me on Facebook, Beware the Stampede. Or by all means, please reach out through the YouTube sites and love to chat with you guys. So I will see you all Tuesday. Thanks for coming in, and I'll catch you guys later. And as always, go Bills and beware the Stampede. Thanks, guys.